Hello, my name's Hunter, and you may also know me as That Foraging Dude on YouTube. But a lot of people have been asking me where I got my interest in foraging from. So in this video, I hope to answer a few of those questions for you. I'd say it all got started when I was about 7 years old, and we picked. It's been about. Well, there's a massive tub of these mushrooms called shaggy ink caps. I'll probably have the picture here at some point. But I was absolutely over the moon, and I just loved. I realised that woodlands and fields actually had so much more going on than just sticks and dead leaves and everything. So that's what sparked my interest on going on walks and maybe looking a bit deeper into the paths and beyond the paths even. Yeah, but then I started to go on a few more walks, and that was an important part for me, because around 10 years old my dad asked me, do you want to go foraging in the woods near our house, which is funnily enough where I am right now. And we found tons of wood bluets, which are these lovely purple mushrooms. They look just like that. I'll probably put a photo there or something. But we got, I'd say, like at least 1 kilo of those mushrooms, which is incredible, because those mushrooms we dried and they lasted us all winter long. You put them into stir fries, all those sort of things, and they're a real treat. So that's when I started to use my forage goods in cooking, and I was actually the one starting to cook with them, which felt really fun, and it felt authentic, really fun, because previously I'd done things in the garden, so growing broccoli, carrots, other things like that in the garden, and that felt nice because you'd obviously sow a seed, watch it grow, and then you'd eat it, and that was good, because again it felt authentic like that. But after that, within the next month, I was out every day after school, up here, down near the river near my house, and we'd find loads of birch polypores or razor strop fungus, which are a really interesting type of fungus, by the way. You can cut a little plaster if you get cut or something, and you just put it over and it works as a plaster. So foraging really has taught me quite a few things over the years. But at this point I was like 12 years old, I'm now 14. So obviously since then more things have happened. I was posting on another channel that didn't really work, so I deleted it because I was just focusing on growing mushrooms, which was another really key part for me. I would grow lion's mane, that was one of my favourites. They make wonderful chicken. I still grow them now, they're one of my favourites. Oyster mushrooms, the blue ones, the yellow ones, the pink ones, all wonderful. You can turn them into bacon or just generic mushrooms, anything like that. They're such a versatile fungus that you can use in cooking, all sorts of things like that. So I enjoyed doing that, and I still enjoy doing it now. Again, I still enjoy cooking with mushrooms I pick, mushrooms I grow. But I'm looking around me right now, and this woodland on the floor, this time, it's pretty dead. There's just sawdust and, mulch, dried up stuff, lots of rocks. It's mainly just dead leaves and stuff this time of year. But when it does get to the autumn, fungi galore, It's amazing. I can spot some gooseberry bushes around there. Big patch in the background over there. So just like patrolling through the woods in different times of year, you really notice how the seasons change. you can see lots of different things. Gooseberries this time of year, wild strawberries, raspberries. Summertime, like end of summer, you start to see mushrooms growing on trees, things like dryad saddle. I obviously posted one about that Volvariella bombycina, or the silky rosegill, I believe it's called, I think. Not too sure, but that was an amazing find yesterday, obviously. And then you get into autumn time and you start to see things like the wood bluet, and you start looking around amethyst deceivers. Not here, but I've found porcinis, I've found orange birch boletes, brown birch boletes, matte boletes, all these sorts of things in a very private spot. I must stress that. Never leak your mushroom spots. That's a really important thing if you want to make sure that you're able to eat them and have them every year, because foraging responsibly is something else that I've learnt, because I see people and they're like, oh, we found 10 kilograms of porcinis, and I think if you're picking over 1.5 kilograms of mushrooms or anything on a foray, then it's just unnecessary. Especially if you're in a family of, I don't know, 6 people, then yeah, maybe you might want to go up to 2.5 kilograms, because that's probably going to sauce everyone well. Or if you've got a family dinner and something like that, that's important, that you get enough for everyone. But if you live alone, then there's no reason to go above 1 kilogram, I don't think, unless you're going to dry and use them all winter, all until the next season comes around, and then you repeat the cycle again. I don't see why anyone should pick more than they need to, but that's something that I've learnt along the years. I think as well, this was last year, so I was 13, and this is when I was finding all these porcinis. Blushes have become a favourite of mine. They're just like beef. It's amazing. You can grill them, you can pan fry them, but you must make sure they're cooked. That's really important. People are often not too sure about foraging because they think, oh, well, I could die, and it's really dangerous for me because so many people die. But I don't think I think there's something like less than 5 deaths to foraging in the past 100 years, I want to say. It's mental. It's really wild. You might get sick from things, but we're at the point now where people think that our wild food is dangerous because obviously there's some extreme lookalikes, such as the funeral bell and the velvet shank, and these get mixed up all the time and they are deadly. I'm guessing there will have been much more poisonings than the 5 deaths in 100 years. The risk is extremely low, especially when you know what you're doing. And most people that make those mistakes are confusing things like a field mushroom with a death cap. And at first glance, they've both got a ring, they've both got a white stem, but it's they look slightly different. But I just think it's so important that we need to go back to foraging. After, what's it been? 7 years now. Half my life I've been foraging. And I've learnt a lot of things. I hope this video was helpful. I hope I taught you a few things. I hope you understand a bit of my backstory, I guess. But anyway, if you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate you letting me know what you thought. Anything else you'd like to know? Any sort of species that you'd like to know a bit more about? Maybe you want to see one about differentiating between the funeral bell and the velvet shank. I don't know. But whatever it may be, I really appreciate you watching. And thank you very much for watching.